Have you ever looked at a home and thought, something feels off, but you can't quite explain why? Very often, the answer is artwork, but it's not just about the artwork itself. It's also about what you choose and how you incorporate it into your space. Because the right pieces, and more importantly, what you choose and how you place it, can absolutely make or break a room. There are many beautiful ways to use artwork, but today I'm sharing simple, practical styling tips to help you avoid some of the most common mistakes I see, so you can make the most of what you already have and feel more confident choosing pieces for your space. And stay with me until the end, because I'll show you a quick and easy DIY artwork that is incredibly simple to recreate, but the result is stunning. Even the most beautifully furnished spaces can sometimes feel a little flat or unfinished without artwork. I see this all the time. You can have gorgeous furniture, beautiful lighting, lovely decor, but without something on the wall, the room just doesn't feel complete. Artwork is such a powerful styling element. It can act as a focal point, almost like an exclamation mark, or simply the piece that quietly ties the entire color story together. Artwork really does have the ability to refine and transform how a space feels. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say these are not hard rules. Think of them as guidelines that simply make things easier and, in most cases, just look better. One of the biggest things I pay attention when using artwork is how it connects to everything else in the room. So I'm always looking for tones within the artwork that relate to the room's color scheme. That could be the color already found in your rug, pillows, throws, or accessories. And it does work both ways. Sometimes I start with the artwork and build the color palette from it. Other times I choose artwork that complements what is already in place. Either way, when those tones are repeated throughout the room, everything just starts to feel more cohesive and pulled together. Now, one of the most common issues I see is scale. Even the most beautiful artwork can feel off if it's not the right size for your space. A piece that is too small can end up looking like a little postage stamp on the wall. Groupings can feel disconnected, and even large pieces can feel out of place if they're not used correctly. Here's a guideline I use all the time. When placing artwork above furniture, I aim for it to be about 2/3 of the width of the piece below it. You can go a bit wider if needed, but ideally it should not be wider than the furniture itself. Getting the scale right is what makes everything feel balanced and intentional. For longer furniture, I love using 2 or 3 similar pieces grouped closely together. They read as one larger installation. And on narrow or vertical walls, I choose artwork that mirrors the shape of the space, or stack pieces vertically for a more refined look. If you have a piece you love, but it feels a bit small, you don't necessarily need to replace it. I'll often expand the composition. For example, layering a smaller piece off-center and balancing it on the other side with a taller element like a lamp or a vase. Now let's talk about placement. Hang artwork too high and it immediately feels disconnected, almost like it is floating. And groupings that are not aligned properly can quickly feel disjointed. Because sometimes using symmetry is exactly what creates that sense of balance. Here's a rule that designers actually follow. When the artwork sits above a piece of furniture, I usually place it so the bottom part is 6 to 8 inches above. That creates a visual connection with the piece below. Sometimes I'll go slightly higher, especially if I'm layering decor in front of it. This gives everything a bit more breathing room. When hanging artwork on an open wall, I generally aim for the center of the piece to sit around eye level. That's about 68 to 60 inches from the floor. But context always matters. Sightlines, furniture height, nearby elements, they all play a role. For example, artwork behind a dining table might need slight adjustments depending on how the table interacts visually with the wall, the height of the chair backs, or how the piece is viewed from a distance. The same goes for windows or TVs. Instead of focusing only on measurements, I focus on alignment, making sure everything feels cohesive. Gallery walls are one of my favorite features, but they're often overcomplicated. I always think of them as a composition, not collections. Spacing is key. I typically keep frames about 1 to 2 inches apart. This keeps everything feeling unified. You can go with matching frames for a clean look, or mix styles for something more layered. But if you do mix, keep something consistent, like the color palette, the art subject, or matting. Using the same mat throughout is one of the easiest ways to elevate the entire look and make them look more unified. Artwork also carries visual weight. Soft, neutral pieces tend to feel lighter and more subtle in a space, while darker or more saturated pieces with a lot of pattern naturally draw your eye and feel more dominant. So when I'm selecting artwork, I always ask myself, do I want the piece to quietly support the space, or do I want it to be the focal point? Because that direction really drives everything else. And it is where placement and composition come into play. In this vignette, I'm working with lower elements, the plant stands. So I stacked artwork above them to help visually elongate the space and draw your eye upwards. Notice how the tones within the artwork relate back to the rest of the room's color scheme. So even though the eye is moving up, everything still feels connected. Now let's look at another example. In this bathroom, the wall above the toilet and towel bar felt a bit empty. A single piece would have worked, but it would have felt a bit too small next to the height of the mirror. So instead, I layered 2 pieces. It creates a sense of height and better balance with the mirror beside it. And even though the size and frames are not identical, the consistent matting and similar color scheme help tie everything together. Choosing artwork is a very personal process. There really is no right or wrong, only what you're drawn to. In my own home, I tend to gravitate towards nature-inspired pieces. You'll see references of trees, leaves, and organic forms layered throughout different spaces. It's one of those quiet design threads that keeps everything feeling connected without looking overly coordinated. And I always encourage you to do the same. If you love animals, landscapes, abstract art, whatever it may be, lean into that. Those are the pieces that will always feel the most meaningful in your own home. And this is also where I want to emphasize something important. If you have the opportunity, I always think it's wonderful to support local artists. There's something really special about incorporating a handmade, one-of-a-kind piece. It adds such a personal layer to your home. But at the same time, artwork does not need to be expensive. It doesn't have to be an original piece. Prints, vintage finds, estate sale pieces, and even art sourced online can look just as beautiful when selected thoughtfully. What really matters is how the piece makes you feel and how well it relates to your space. I've seen very modestly priced prints look absolutely stunning once they're properly framed and styled. I've resourced artwork in so many different ways over the years, from online prints to local artists, and some of my favorite pieces started out as very simple finds that were elevated with intentional framing and matting. So don't feel like you need to spend a lot to create a beautiful space. Focus on choosing pieces you genuinely connect with, because those are the ones that you will enjoy living with every day. Now, since we're talking about artwork, over the years, I've created quite a few DIY pieces for my home. Projects that are not only budget-friendly, but incredibly personal. One of the questions I'm most frequently asked is about my leaf artwork. Years ago, when we first got married, we were on a very tight budget. So instead of buying artwork, I made them myself. I gathered leaves and small branches, pressed them, and created simple framed pieces. Grouped together, they made a big impact. Even after 30 years, these pieces are still some of my favorite. Now let me show you a very simple DIY wall art idea that is not only budget-friendly, but also incredibly personal. Let me go over the material you'll need. Pressed leaves or small branches, acid-free spray glue, thick paper, matte Mod Podge, a couple of flat artist brushes, and picture frames of your choice with or without matting. I love gathering leaves and small branches from places we've lived or visited because they carry memories and a personal story. I usually sandwich them between sheets of kitchen paper towel and place them inside books for anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to truly dry and flatten. For this example, I'll be using a small branch I gathered in California several years ago. But if you don't have a garden or the patience to wait several weeks for the leaves to dry, you can absolutely purchase dried leaves online. I will link a variety pack in the description below. For the second example, I'll be using skeleton leaves I purchased online. I've used them for everything from the wall art grouping above my TV to smaller layering pieces on shelves and consoles. To begin, I protect my work surface with paper. Then I shake the spray bottle well and apply a generous coat to the entire back of the leaf or branch. I carefully set the branch aside for a moment while I place down another clean, protective sheet and position the watercolor paper that I already cut to fit the frame I'll be using. One thing I really like about this spray glue is that it gives you a little bit of time to reposition the leaves if needed. It dries clear and it doesn't stain the paper. Once the branch is in place, I gently press down the leaves and stems with my fingers to make sure everything adheres properly. I repeat the same process with the skeleton leaf. Now, why the glue dries? Here's a little tip. I rub a bit of coconut oil onto my fingers, then wipe the glue off with paper towel before washing my hands with warm water and dish soap. It makes cleanup much easier. After the glue has dried for a couple of hours, I move on to the next step. I pour a small amount of matte Mod Podge into a dish and use flat artist brushes to carefully seal the surface of the leaves. This helps preserve their current color and allows them to last for years to come. For the smaller branch, I used a narrower brush and carefully apply a coat over the leaves and stems. The Mod Podge will look milky at first, but don't worry, it dries completely clear with a soft matte finish. I repeat the same process on the skeleton leaf using a slightly wider brush. Once everything has dried for several more hours, the pieces are ready to frame. Now, because the skeleton leaf is such a simple, delicate piece, placing it in a frame that has a double dark matte really elevates the overall look. These particular frames are from Michaels, so I'll link them below. They frequently go on sale, which makes them a great option if you're creating a grouping like the wall art arrangement I used above my TV. For the small branch, I used a frame I already had. And because the branch itself is a little bit more intricate, I decided not to use the mat that came with the frame. But I did place the mat behind the piece so I can always switch it later if I change my mind. And since we're talking about matting, let me show you a simple trick that can completely change the look of existing wall art. This is actually one of the leaf pieces I created over 30 years ago. During the warmer months, I usually keep the white mat because it feels lighter and fresher. But to make the leaf stand out more, I place a black mat with a slightly smaller opening underneath the white mat. That little layer instantly gives the wall art more depth and contrast. And when I want the piece to feel even more dramatic, I place the darker mat in front of the white one instead. It completely changes the look of the same simple wall art piece. Here is a side-by-side comparison so you can really see the difference. The leaves themselves are very simple, but when they're matted intentionally and grouped together, they can make a surprisingly beautiful composition. And of course, pieces like these don't only have to hang on the walls. I also love using them as layering pieces on shelves, consoles, and styling vignettes throughout the home. I hope you found these tips helpful as you think about the artwork in your own home. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like. And let me know in the comments which tip stood out most to you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss more decorating tips and ideas. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.